boys. Whit Merrifield joining us on FT Live.
Yeah.
What? No, I'm
Was that
saying.
supposed
No, I'm saying.
I'm saying I'm taller than I am?
No, I'm saying you're exactly what you list yourself as. I wanted to know, how tall are you, and did you actually put the correct height down when you were asked? How does that even work? Do they ask you how tall you are, or do you get measured and then they just put it on your bio?
In 2014, 15 or something, I said I was 6'1", and we've stuck with that.
Boom.
He lies. He lies.
So is that true or not?
He's lying. Look at his face.
I'm a sneaky 6 foot, though. I am 6 foot. People don't believe me until they stand beside me. And I don't know if I'm, like, awkwardly built or whatever, but I'm a sneaky 6 foot.
You have a weird body, but that's why people look at you and they're like, wait a minute, you lied about your height?
I was in AAA trying to get to the show. We had to wear our pants up, so everyone thought I was shorter than I was already. And now I got my pants up, so I look like I'm 5'8" out there. I got to put 6'1" on the board so people try to get to the show, man. Every little thing you can do.
Yeah, they looked at his height, right, with KC, because obviously, and this is true, it took way too long for the Royals to call you up, I'll say it. But they looked and they're like, oh, Merrifield's 6'1"? All right, bring his ass up. I didn't know that.
Bring his high ass up. He said that before. He's got a high ass, high butt.
Whit, so go ahead, AJ.
No, I was going to say, before we get too deep into the Blue Jays and everything going on, I have two questions for you about the College World Series. One, your dad, has he recovered yet? And two, when the fuck are you wearing your Gator jersey? Because you should have it on today.
Brady has sent it to me. It's got to be a Brady Singer jersey. So whenever he gives it to me, I'll wear it, then burn it.
Give it to charity.
Yeah, there you
go.
Sign up for AJ.
Yeah, please. I'd love that. Yeah. There it is.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Hey, Brady, Gamecocks win this weekend. You name your firstborn Whit. Already talked to Tori. She's cool with it. Do we have the reply? That's fine. When the Gators win, you can wear an old Gator jersey of mine on hole one of your little golf tournament you mentioned on Foul Territory. It might be a little big on you. Now, a lot of questions, but deal. Would he have held up his end of the bargain?
I don't know. I would have held him to. I would have always called his firstborn Whit. So, so there's that. Yeah.
It was a lopsided negotiation, though, AJ. I feel like Whit ripped him off.
You got to know who you're dealing with.
You know what?
Brady's not that smart, so you can throw the.
Hey, Whit was smart though. He went to the wife and he asked the wife, and he said she's already okay with it. So Brady couldn't say no at that point because let's be honest, at the end of the day, our wives pick the name of our kids anyways. You don't really have anything to do with it. You can say, "Oh, I want to name my kid Whit." My wife would be like, "No, that's a terrible name. We're going to name it Eric Kratz instead." You know, it's like, okay, whatever you say, honey.
Well, the thing with Brady is Brady would have assumed that I actually did clear it with Tori. So when it was time to name the kid, he was going to say it's going to be Whit, right? And so he would just he would have assumed until the kid was born that his kid was going to be named Whit, and Tori would be like, "The heck you talking about?" So they're a great couple.
Lovely. Next up, I wanted to ask you about the golf tournament. The latest update. We have a few updates for you. Okay, so number one, you have someone raising their hand who has a Cy Young award, who's looking for an invite. So let's run the clip of our buddy who has heard about it and is a better golfer actually than I thought. He apparently can smash the ball like 400 plus. So let's run Corbin Burns.
Write his handicap down. So
yes,
Whit Merrifield's tournament. Have you heard about that? Have you gotten an invitation yet?
I heard him talk about it. No, I haven't received the invite yet, but that'd be fun for sure.
We'll get. Hang on one second. Hey, Whit, Corbin Burns wants to come and take your cash, so you better invite him. I need to get you. We'll make sure the people behind the scenes here hook you guys up. You won't get an email because you're a big leaguer. The minor leaguers and the guys who aren't playing anymore, they get emails, but you'll get a cool invitation.
Your response?
This is great stuff. I didn't know Corbin was a golfer, so you hear about certain guys that play golf, and then there are a lot of guys that love golf that you don't hear about. So a lot of guys in the big leagues. So I'm actually first round of invites just went out. Didn't know Corbin was a golfer. I'm sure that everyone that we just invited is not going to be able to come. So there's a 48-man field, and I'm sure Corbin will be first in line for the next round of invites.
I live in Orlando.
You're not.
AJ, this is not about you. There's so many big leaguers that are going to be there. You can play the senior tour.
No, I'll be there. I'll just be one of the spectators.
All right, yeah. No, like I said, it's we're not too prompt at certain things during the season, so there's going to be a deadline. Like, you got to RSVP by X date, or you're not coming. And so I imagine there's going to be a lot of invites sent out. And AJ, you're definitely on that email list for sure.
Let's just make sure it doesn't get lost in the email, okay, Whit?
Right.
Like, it doesn't go to spam or something. I did see Russell Martin. Was he the first one to say yes, Russell Martin?
He was not the first one, but he was the first one that we put on Instagram for whatever reason. So Blue Jay, that's why.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the guy that's putting on with me has a couple of close guys that are ex-teammates, and that's the reason. There's like 4 or 5, not ex-teammates, ex-players. There's like 4 or 5 ex-players that already have kind of have already committed, even though the first round of invites was only going to current players. We made an exception for a couple guys.
Sounds shady.
Mike Trout's joining us on the show tomorrow. Would you like us to personally re-emphasize the invite?
Invites went out, I think, 2 days ago. I don't know if they're home right now or not, but they should be getting them in a couple of days. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to tell them it's coming.
We can break the news that he's cool enough.
Yeah. I think with the Angels, I think now that Moose is over there, I think he and Moose are the 2 with the Angels that are getting one. I don't really know of anybody else that's playing. Drew Butera is on the email list. He's a coach over there now. So those
Drew Butera? You're inviting Drew Butera on the email list?
My favorite Royal.
Are you kidding me, Whit?
My favorite Royal backup catcher of all time.
I'm out of here.
And he's a better pitcher too, right?
No!
Pitcher. Throws way harder.
I throw harder than he does.
No.
I feel like there's something wrong with my earpiece. I feel like he has a much better ride. And great hair, too. He's so good looking.
No, that's smart on Whit's part because he's from Orlando, too. He doesn't have to pay for housing. See? That's smart. See? I get the connection.
I hope it goes to spam. That's what I'm saying. I hope it goes to spam.
Did you ever think about just throwing a token invite to Ohtani just to say that you did it, even though I'm guessing he doesn't play golf, although I guarantee if he showed up, he'd finish top 5.
He'd beat me.
Well, I actually asked him a couple years ago when Matsuyama won the Masters. I asked him if he played golf, and he said, no, not really. He said when he hits it, he said a lot of slice. So I took that as he's not much of a golfer.
I'm surprised he played and then decided like, oh, I'm not that good at it. Like, he doesn't seem like that kind of dude, right?
Swing a golf club, that's for sure, though.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Toronto for a minute here. How are things going? And specifically, one of your boys, I know he's working through things in the minors right now, Alec Manoa. From a clubhouse perspective, because he's a big personality, do you feel that when you walk into the clubhouse, knowing, I mean, he's not hurt. Obviously, he's just working on things. He'll be back. Does it suck to not have a guy like that to horse around with?
Yeah, I mean, AK is a huge personality in the clubhouse, a guy we love having around and playing cards with. And, he brings that extra dimension to our team. And there's just always, it's very rare that you see somebody get to the big leagues, dominate, and continue to dominate forever without having some adjustments that the league either makes to him or you have to make mechanically, whatever it may be. And he's going through it. He's having to make those adjustments that we've all had to make, and he being such a force that he's been in the league, it's very very much under a microscope, everything that he does, which cannot be easy to do. I don't know what that's like. I don't think many people do know what that's like. That the first time you fail, you got thousands of people being like, "What's going on? What's the matter? Why aren't you competing for a Cy Young again?" So that can't be easy. And he's down in Florida and correcting some stuff, and looking forward to having him back because we need him.
You don't see it now because he's down in Florida and he's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But when he was going through it in the big leagues, did you see a bunch of people like in the clubhouse panicking, like, "Oh, we got to figure this out. We got to try this"? What did it look like in there from the coach's standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not privy to a lot of those pitching meetings or pitching conversations, but I mean, you can see the guy. He wants to be good for us. He wants to help us win. And obviously, you want to have success for yourself, but he loves his team. He loves his city. He wants us to win. He wants us to do good, and he knows he's a big part of that. And so, when he went through some struggles, he knew he could feel like he was letting his teammates down, and that can wear on a guy. And then to top it off, like I said, I'm not privy to a lot of the pitching conversations, but I'm sure he had people coming at him left and right, like, "Oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that," because that's how it goes with hitters too. You see it with Vladdy when as soon as Vladdy like goes over or goes like a week without hitting a home run, it's like, "Oh my God, what's the matter with Vladdy? Why is he not hitting every ball 120 miles an hour?" And it's like, just that's not really how baseball works. Sometimes you gotta take a step back and just understand who you are and that you're going to go through some stuff. And when you put together a good year, the valleys are a lot shallower and a lot shorter. And when you're going good, you seem to ride it out a lot longer. So it's just part of how the game goes.
Whit, do you have conversations with guys? Do you say, like, to Vladdy? Do you go up to him and say, "Hey, man, I know you're not where you want to be right now. Maybe I can help," or you just let a guy like I mean, Bo's been great. So, but do you go to Vladdy and say, "Hey, man, like, I know it's hard right now. Maybe I don't know." Do you have those conversations, or do you just kind of leave guys alone?
Depends on the guy. It depends on the time. And it depends on. I mean, you can see when it's a guy's performance is really bothering him, when he's really struggling, or when he's just not having results. And so when I can see a guy really look like he's grinding, there's certain times where you're like, "Hey man, like, stick with it. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's just you're just going through it right now." And there's times where it's like, "Hey, I see something. You want to talk about it?" And it just depends on where the guy's at and who he is. With Vladdy, most of the time it's, "You'll be fine, kid. Like, just keep doing it. Just stay with you, do you, and you'll be fine." And then there are times. There's been one time with him where we were like, "Hey man, like, I see this. We see this. This might be something to think about if you haven't." And after we had that discussion, he started hitting. He hit, I think, 2 home runs in back-to-back games and started hitting balls. He hits balls harder than I've ever seen. It's dumb. I don't understand how he does it.
That's what I mean. Do you think Vladdy looks at you and goes, "Hey man, I like you, Bobby, but like, you don't hit the ball like me. Like, you don't."
Probably.
That's what I would sit there and say. "Hey, I want to ask you about your contract. You have a mutual option for next year. What the heck is a mutual option? And are you going to pick your end of it after you're an all-star this year? And will the team want to pick up their end of it? Or are you a very sneaky, worthwhile free agent coming up?"
So the way I understand mutual option is it basically like, I don't know if it's ever been picked up in the history of baseball, because usually like, if you have a really good year as a player, you're going to decline it because you want to go to free agency, right? But if you have like a subpar year, you're going to pick it up, but the team's not going to, right? So the way I understand it, like from a strategic standpoint, is you try to set it like really high, so that way when you go to free agency, a team can't be like, well, your mutual option was say 8 million, and you guys didn't agree to it. Why would we offer you 8 million a year type thing? So mine's at 18 million. So if the team is interested in picking that up, might have to think about it. But I'm very much probably counting on entering that free agent market. It's the only time in my career I'll probably ever get to have, like, I'm not going to sign a 10-year deal by any means, but I might be able to, get a couple years out of somebody, and I'll be 34, or I'm 34, I'll be 35, but I think my 35 looks a lot different than most people's 35, and I still feel just like I did. Honestly, I can say it because it's me, but I feel like I did 6-7 years ago. I really do, and whether teams believe it or not, I mean, I'm out there running just as fast as I was 6-7 years ago, and doing some things, and knock on wood, still have been pretty durable. So I got all those things working for me against my age.
Are you looking forward to being courted and getting the phone calls? Hey, what, AJ? Because you didn't like it? Whit likes nice dinners.
It sucks, I promise you. People think it's great. So I hope you are a free agent. I hope you get every dollar you can. But when you get into it, it's not everyone. People outside of baseball think being a free agent is like, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. Meanwhile, you got like 5 teams, and they all offer you about the same amount of money, and you're like, which one do I go to? And you're sitting there waiting for one team to like make the jump. No one does. It's really stressful, because then if you don't sign early and you get into like January, then you got mom and dad calling you. Why haven't you signed yet, Whit? Nobody wants you out there. So it's not as fun as people make it out to be. It's not like when Scott's a free agent on the bodybuilding circuit. All the magazines are calling for him.
Didn't think he'd go there, but okay.
Yeah. No, I've not heard many rave reviews about being a free agent, so I don't know. We'll see. I need to put together a solid second half to give myself a little bit more leverage, but yeah, we talk about it here a lot. You want to get paid, win, and that's where our focus is right now. Is getting into the playoffs and making a deep run in the playoffs, because Brandon Belt is the key voice in that. He's like, hey guys, listen, I know a lot of you guys are young, talented, you're going to make a ton of money. You want to get paid, let's win, and winners get paid. So that's where our focus is right now. And then after the season, we can talk about all this other stuff.
On Belt, how do you think his delivery is when he gives lines sometimes? Because he's been doing this for a while, and it pops up like every month or so. Like, I think the latest one was him calling out Brandon Crawford for taking his locker and saying like it's terrible. And the funny thing is, if people don't know him, like if you're a fan of another sport and it just gets thrown out there on social, they're like, who is this guy? Because I think he at one point, maybe a month ago, said like he was way better than someone who was amazing, and he was in a totally serious tone. And people are like, who is this guy? Like, who does he think he is? I'm like,
Logan Webb.
Do your homework.
No, it was the first one was, he was like 1-2 with Ohtani and the DH voting, and he was like, well, that's how you know it's rigged, because I'm obviously a way better hitter than Ohtani, I'm a better leader, better looking. And then we got the Giants in town, and they had Logan Webb's one of his better friends, and he said, look, it's going to be weird. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I just want to embarrass his whole family. But Belter's sneaky a lot of talk, because I told him, or he was talking about going up there. He was like, I'm gonna do the Babe Ruth. I'm gonna point to the fence. He's like, what I've got to lose? This is probably my last year anyway. I was like, do it. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Walks up, doesn't do it. And then almost hits a homer. So it would have been pretty legendary if he would have done it. But Belter is one of the more unique teammates I've ever had. I would say one of the funniest, but his comedy like makes me really uncomfortable sometimes. And so
yes.
when I laugh, it's like an uncomfortable, like I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm laughing type thing. And he's an absolute treat, though. We love having him around.
So he's got the rare senioritis in Major League Baseball, knowing that, he's towards the end, whatever, this year, maybe next year. Like, I used to call it fuck it mode when I was younger. Like, if you're on a team that you shouldn't be on, or you're a senior, something like that, where like he can do shit and just not care. I mean, he does it in the media and it's hilarious, but I agree. I want to see him do something different. Like, he can do the standoff, right? And stand there where literally like someone has to pick him up and place him off the field if he's going to be moved. Like, even after he wins, where he's like, nah, fuck it. I just want to see how long we can delay this one game.
Yeah, his favorite line right now is you guys know I'm here for you because I'm basically playing for free. He's making like almost $10 million this year. Yeah, I'm basically paying these guys to come play every day. Like, so it's, he's a unique, but like I said, we love having him around. He's great. He brings a lot to the.
Whit, are you going to make the All-Star team this year? Because you know what looks good on contracts? All-Stars.
So I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. I'm not counting on starting. That's for sure. I think Marcus has very much earned that. But the next little round is player voting. So we'll see how the players end up voting. And I don't know. Every All-Star team needs a utility man, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're good at it too. So hell yeah, you know what happens when you make that All-Star team? Guess what they do? The Jays are going to say, we're picking up our end of the option. You're going to have to go, do I want 18 million or do I want 18 million?
We'll see. I think we find out like the starters tonight, and then I think the others on Sunday maybe. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll see. It'd be great to do. I love Seattle. I love that stadium, so it'd be cool to have an All-Star game there. But I don't know. We'll see.
Does it drain on you to know that you might not have those days off? Like, do you have plans, or are you like, I kind of want those days off. I'm kind of getting exhausted.
Well, it's either go to Seattle, probably fly private to Seattle with some guys and go to a bunch of really cool parties with a bunch of really cool people, or I could go home to my house that my wife and I recently moved into, a newly built home, and do a bunch of stuff like pick weeds and clean the pool and talk to subcontractors. So yeah, it actually is kind of wearing me out that I might have to go and do that versus go to Seattle and have a great time.
You're too rich for that. You're too rich to pull weeds, and you're too rich to. You hire people for that, Whit.
No, he's a grinder.
Yes.
No.
I'm like my wife's number, and you have that conversation with her. And let me know how it goes.
She's a grinder. He's not a free agent. She knows. She's not living that Louis life yet until he gets the free agency. She is keeping him hungry, keeping that carrot dangling.
We're on a cow farm. We don't she just grew up like blue collar.
Whit, here's what you do, Whit. She gives you a task and you just epically fail at it, and then from that moment on, she'll hire somebody to do it because you're like, well, I look at the last one, I screwed up so bad. Oh,
I killed all the grass.
Yeah, I missed all those weeds that you needed me to pull. I forgot about them, and then we'll just hire the lawn guy to do it for an extra $100 a month, and we'll call it even.
But we've been together for 18 years. She knows when I'm trying to pull one on her. So she knows what I'm good at.
Just magically, you'll have more friends. You sneak onto the app that does it, and you're just like, oh my. You communicate with them first and say, this cannot be transactional publicly. Okay, I will Venmo your ass, but you show up. You're my new friend, Billy Bob, and you're coming over and you're helping with a number of things. So, just throwing it out there. We're trying. AJ, and it's a very big difference here. Kratz, DIY.
Grinder.
AJ and me.
Not a grinder.
DI nothing.
Kratz, we got a frog problem. You know how to get rid of frogs?
Frogs?
Frogs everywhere. Everywhere.
That's a weird problem to have. It's like a plague.
Yeah.
It's like a plague. At night, it's like I'll send you a video of the sound that's at night. It's wild.
Have you ever gigged? You can gig them.
Yeah. So what we tried to do. This is just kind of a side note, but when it first happened, like 2 weeks ago, I get alerts from our security cameras, and it was like I was getting alerts from like 10 o'clock to like 2 o'clock. And so I look at them, I look at the video, the little highlight thing, and it's my wife and my mother-in-law on the pool deck stomping frogs because there's hundreds of frogs like ribbiting. They're out there catching them with our pool net, putting them on the ground and stomping the shit out of them. They killed like 75 frogs on the pool deck and kept the blood all over the deck to try to warn the frogs, like, these are your cousins, don't come back. So we don't know what the heck. We got to freaking play.
Do you live like in a swamp? I don't understand because I don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah, we live on a dairy farm basically, but we got a creek kind of at the bottom, and then we got a pool, and it was super raw land where we built the house, and so we think that like when we were building, all the wildlife kind of like got scared, and now that we've settled in and everything's kind of calmed down, they're starting to come back to their home, and like, oh look, here's a small little pond when it's our pool, and I don't know, it's a mess.
This is like the sequel to Snakes on a Plane, like Frogs on a Farm.
Yes.
Nobody's fucking frogs off my farm.
Yeah, nobody's giving me the answer. The only thing that they say is, I'll say like, how do I get rid of these frogs? They'll say, man, I don't know, but frogs attract snakes. That's the only response I'm getting. That's the worst answer you could give my wife. Frogs attract snakes.
That's terrible. I like the Slaughterfest on the pool. I like that.
Oh,
with the noise, I want to see video of your wife and mother-in-law stomping them.
Yeah, it was crazy. So Seattle sounds really.
Yep. Join us. We'll be out there. Come on, join us.
Yes. That took a wild turn. Now we need to start a campaign to get Whit to the All-Star game, so A, he can sleep and not hear the bullshit from the frogs, and B, it's like save the frogs, vote Whit to the All-Star game.
God,
I like that campaign.
That's gonna push the vote in my favor. Sorry, Marcus, but I think he's pretty much wrapped that up.
Okay, our social team will be on it. We're working on it.
Second place is good.
Yeah.
Whit, good to see you. We'll let Trout know that he's in. We'll let him know tomorrow.
All right, guys.